Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. So, for all my Audie fans, my little bad boy is sound asleep on the bed. I never even got a chance to make the bed. Well, actually, I didn't want to make it. I wanted to change the sheets, but it didn't happen because Audie has been camped out there for almost the entire day. So, if my luck holds out, I'm going to be able to change the sheets before I go to bed tonight, but I'm not counting on it. So I did want to point out, because I saw this on a previous video, can you see in the vases on top of the bookcase, there is a little black cat sticking out of the top of one of them? I get those things at places like Michael's and whoever has holiday decorations, because every Halloween, I can get some cute little Audie stuff. And this is the one I got this year. I have a whole stack of them. Like I said, I pick them up. I usually pick up one in particular every year, and I will display it throughout the year somewhere. And then when the next Halloween rolls around, I will get another one. So this is our Halloween 25 through Halloween 26 Audie piece. Yes, a crazy black cat with an arched back hissing at me because I've somehow gotten myself into trouble again. All right, he may end up showing up. He's shown up a lot lately, mostly because he wants attention. Just that simple. So maybe he will show up. In any event, we're going to take a quick break for the intro, and we will be right back. So I thought, just as a total change of pace, we would talk about credit reports and credit bureaus today. So let me start off, full transparency. I hate credit bureaus. If credit bureaus fell into the ocean tomorrow, I would firmly believe society would be better off for it. I am no lover of these agencies. Just so I don't, as I talk about this, in some way mislead you. Well, that would be impossible. You'll figure out that from what I have to say about them. In the United States, we have three major credit bureaus. We have Experian, which is the largest, and I believe they have a total net worth of about $40 billion. That's billion with a B, $40 billion. And next up is Equifax at about $25 billion. And the third is TransUnion, and I think that's about 15 or 16 billion. So basically, we are talking about something along the lines of an $80 billion industry dedicated to collecting as much information about every man, woman, and possibly child, and I'll pick that up later, in the United States and selling it. So I don't even know how this could possibly be legal. It's one of the worst violations of our privacy I can imagine. And make no mistake about it, that $80 billion comes from these credit reporting agencies selling our information. And please don't think, oh, they're only selling it to Chase Manhattan Bank or, the car dealership. No. Anybody can get their hands on your credit report. They not only sell it to people that it could be argued, I would argue against it, but some people could be argued that some people have a right to it. A bank that might want to give you a loan should have a right to your credit information. Funny how we got along, and people got loans and mortgages, and they managed to run their financial lives for a long time without these agencies. But hey, let's just assume for a moment that a bank might need it. Maybe a car dealership might need it. But does a potential employer need this? Oh, make no mistake about it. Potential employers are now checking your credit before they offer you a job. Landlords checking your credit before they will sign a lease with you. And when a potential employer or a potential landlord can get your information as easily as they can. You have to know anybody could, because anybody could get in touch with these credit reporting agencies and say, yeah, well, I've been thinking about renting a room in the back, and I want to know about this person. And this person might be the ex that you are chasing after. It could be anybody wanting it for any purpose. And the kinds of information they collect about you are things like your name, your address, your employer, your former employers, your phone numbers. And once they have access to your credit card and information like that, they have access to every purchase you've ever made. So make no mistake about this. This is a massive amount of information they are collecting. I don't even know of governments that have this kind of information on their citizenry. And quite frankly, I would only expect that perhaps, the government of some corrupt dictatorship would even want that much information on their citizens. Yeah, I got a real problem with this. But I thought we would take a look at how to deal with credit reporting bureaus. So let us suppose, because by the way, this is my good deed for society. Let us suppose that there is a credit bureau and it has information on your credit that you don't want to have. Now let's suppose, for the sake of argument, since you know I would never try to teach you how to defraud anybody quite as wonderful as a credit bureau, heaven forbid. But let's suppose that information is not correct. Oh, and a lot of the information they have is not correct. Here's what you need to do. You can get your credit report from all three agencies, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. You're entitled by law to a free copy of your credit report at least once a year. Get your credit report. I promise you there are going to be errors, because there always are, which is one of the great dangers of these companies having all of this information. It's not just correct information, but it's completely false information. Oh, let me just interject here. One of my favorite credit reporting agency stories. In the 1980s, I pulled my credit report from, it wasn't Experian. Experian had another name in 1980. I can't recall what it was, but it was the company now known as Experian. And on that credit report, I saw that I had an outstanding unpaid debt of $130,000 that dated back to 1968. Okay, so for starters, $130,000 in 1980 would be the equivalent of about $500,000 today. In 1968, I was 13 years old. I mean, I had no credit. I was a child. By the way, that's why I say I would not be surprised if they had information on children, because obviously they were claiming to have debt information from me. Oh, also, I was a New Englander, and this debt had somehow been amassed somewhere out in the Midwest, a place I had never been to. Yeah, completely false information. And the fact is, if any human being had ever taken the time to look at that credit report, the vast amount of money they were claiming I owed would have been the first red flag. And because they have my date of birth. The fact that I was allegedly 13 years old when I had somehow acquired this debt would be the second red flag. I did get it taken off, but don't make any mistakes. There will always be errors on your credit report. So do not make the mistake of assuming all the information is good. So you get your credit reports, you see mistakes. Challenge them immediately. And this is going to be a process, by the way. And if you look at it properly, because you get to waste their time, and they are inherently evil, and it is a good thing to waste the time of evil people. Do it one at a time. That's how I do it. I will find one little itty bitty thing, and I will question it. Then I'll go back and question another, and again and again and again. Every time out, they have to generate a new credit report. Every time they generate a new credit report, that increases the chances of something on your credit report that may or may not legitimately belong there of falling off. And you do this all the time. If there is a debt, you look at it, I don't remember that. I don't care if this is a company you've been doing business with every day of your life for the last 50 years. Have a convenient lapse of memory. I don't remember that. Make them prove you owe that money. Because here's the process. You challenge things on your credit report, they have to go back to the company that says you owe it. The company that says you owe the money has to come back and establish the proof of that debt. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they won't. If they don't, it falls off your credit report, practically by magic. I would strongly recommend you do this at every possible opportunity. Make them as crazy as you can. Get them to cycle through report after report after report. Because every time they do this, you're increasing the chances that something unpleasant on your credit report will also fall off. Do not be afraid to challenge them at every turn. Frankly, there's nothing they can do about it. If you challenge, you have that. That is your legal right. You have the right to challenge anything on that credit report. And nowhere in the law does it say you can only challenge things you know to be false. No, you can challenge anything. So just do it. Have the time of your lives. Make a hobby of it. And look, the worst thing that will happen, by the way, this is very unlikely. The worst thing that will happen is at the end of your continual barrage of challenges, they will come back and say, well, you really do owe this, that, the other thing. But they will have taken off all the false addresses and the false phone numbers and the family members that they have no business associating your account with. By the way, you will see that too. They'll come up with lists of known relatives. I found that out in my own credit reports where they come up with people. I have a fairly common last name. They come up with people I've never heard of before. Like, this is your relative? No, it isn't. And I will challenge that, make them issue another report without that name on it. The worst thing that will happen is you won't get things to just automatically drop off your credit report. However, the best thing that will happen is you will get all kinds of, possibly legitimate debts dropped off your credit report. What have you got to lose? So I would say absolutely go for it. Now, I do not use credit. I have not used any form of credit for more than 25 years. Mostly because, like I say, I hate the credit reporting bureaus. I think they are evil and I think they are a danger to society. So, no, just go away from me. However, I do send for my credit reports periodically. Now, you all know what year it is, right? It's 2025. The last credit report I sent for, which was 2 years ago, had my telephone number from 1986 on it. Anybody tell me why they would feel that was pertinent information? It isn't. They simply collect all the information they can, and they stockpile it. Oh, by the way, my personal opinion, I believe they're selling it on the open market. Why would they even need that? They had employers for me going back to, the very early 1980s, not before then. Remember, before then, they had me owing $130,000 from when I was 13. They had all sorts of information. And much of it was erroneous. They would have areas that I lived in, but like the wrong street address. It was just a jumbled mass of garbage. And in most cases, as I say, the information was pointless. How could anybody possibly care what my telephone number was almost 50 years ago? And is that really anyone's business? So as I started saying at the beginning, there may be some legitimate reasons for wanting to collect information on people's credit. Yeah, if you're going to extend credit to people, maybe you could make an argument. But again, I will tell you, people managed to issue mortgages, make car loans, etc. for people long before these agencies existed. Long before. People got jobs without having to go through credit checks first. And that's a relatively recent thing. People got apartments rented without credit checks. Again, this one is a little less recent. They were, in fact, checking your credit for before you would rent an apartment, from a period of time before they were checking your credit for your possible employment. And I just don't see why that should mean anything to anybody. But also, one of the things that I've noticed, and I will grant you, this is simply a casual correlation. I cannot prove that these are linked, but it does seem that there's a good chance they are. Identity theft rises right along with the rise of the credit bureaus. The fact is that identity theft has existed pretty much always. Anybody could always go out and say, I am John Smith. It might not work if you're doing it in John Smith's hometown, but you could always go over to the next town over, and maybe you could pass yourself off as John Smith. But the kind of identity theft we see today, the kind that can destroy your life, now that came about along with the increase of credit bureau usage. So yeah, I blame them for that too. But remember, I hate them. I blame them for everything. So I look at this and think, I don't want the government to have that kind of information on people either, just to be perfectly honest. We should have some fundamental right to personal privacy. People digging into our lives should have a legitimate reason for doing so. Our bank might have a legitimate reason, but a credit reporting bureau is not our bank. They've still got the information. And why is it their legitimate business? They do this for a living. They're not providing me with a service, and I'm the person whose privacy rights are on the line. No, they're not providing me with a service, so why should they be entitled to the information? The bank, on the other hand, if I'm going to them for a mortgage or a car loan, they would be providing me with a service, and they might have a legitimate reason to access the information. Third-party data brokers, no way. Oh, and please don't think that you can sign on to one of those absurd little we're going to take your name off the internet services, which, by the way, don't work. That is nonsense. That is stuff and nonsense. They do not work. And part of the reason they do not work is they will never take your names out of these credit bureau records. No. So, yeah, maybe you might get somebody to take your name off one website on the internet, but your information is still out there, and people can still get it. So, yeah, I don't think that this kind of information should be in anyone's hands, but if it is in somebody's hands, I would much rather it be in the hands of my elected officials, people who are answerable to the public for what they are doing, so that if your elected officials abuse your rights, you can vote them out of office. There's nothing you can do to Equifax, to Experian, to TransUnion. They are private companies. You have no redress against them because they are not the ones issuing you credit. And they always say this, that we don't have any choice over whether or not somebody gives you credit. No, but they can give people false information, which can result in your denial of credit. But they wash their hands of this. Oh, no. They are, however, as I say, data brokers, and we have no idea to whom they are brokering all this data. So do I feel guilty helping people, trying to think of the right word, finesse their way around a credit bureau system? No, I do not. Make their lives miserable. Ask them for every single item on your credit report to be verified and documented. And if there is even, by the way, it comes back verified and documented, even the slightest difference, so much as a single penny difference from what you think it ought to be or what it might have been on the previous credit report, challenge it again. Because as I say, there's a good chance that eventually somebody somewhere along the line will get tired of continually out-reporting this, or they will miss a deadline, and that bad credit will fall off your credit report. That is the easiest way you can fight this. So do keep that in mind. And, you know, thing is, I don't remember what it was that just got that bee in my bonnet going this weekend, but I came across some piece of information that just reminded me of how very, very angry I am at credit bureaus. And the truth of the matter is, my life is so much easier without dealing with credit bureaus. Well, it's actually easier without dealing with credit. I don't need it. I don't miss it. But even without using credit in 25 years, they're still keeping track of me. They are still keeping records. They still have my name. They have my address. They have my phone number, which is not even listed in my name. They have my cell phone number, which I never use for business purposes. They are collecting information. So even not using credit can't keep me fully out of their system, but it can minimize the extent to which I have to deal with them. And it should at least keep them from tracking all of my purchases. Because remember, your purchases are a highly valuable bit of information for marketing companies, for retailers. They love that. And even though the credit bureaus swear they're not selling them in this way, if you believe that, you come to New York with me, I got to show you this great bridge I have to sell you. Because I do not believe that for an instant. And as I say, I'm not trying to hide the fact that I think these credit bureaus are, I think they are evil. I think they are the spawn of Satan. I think they are violating the privacy rights of everyone. And nothing hit me harder than finding out back in 1980 that they had been violating my rights apparently since I was 13 years old, which is sheer craziness. So, the takeaway, you can get all your credit reports for free. You can get them for free once a year. You should probably do that. They must give it to you. You can challenge anything on your credit report. It doesn't have to be incorrect. It can be correct. It can be anything that's on your credit report. You can challenge it. You can ask to have information removed, like, you know, a 40-year-old phone number, or maybe the cousin of, you know, the ex that you ditched out of your life 15 years ago. You can ask to have that information removed. Will they remove it? Well, maybe, maybe not, but they should. So don't be afraid to do this. Things that show up in your credit report can very easily just slip off. They just get lost in the shuffle. Not bad. And as I say, even if that doesn't happen, still, you haven't lost anything. So take a look, challenge everything, make them prove it. And as far as I'm concerned, you should waste as much of their time as you can. You will be doing a public service. All right, I thought we might have a little bit of fun with that today, which is why I brought it out. But also, there may be some of you out there who have had trouble with your credit reports. There may be some of you who wouldn't mind putting the credit bureaus to a little extra trouble. There may be some of you who might not mind if a few old forgotten debts fell off your credit reports. This is how you do it, and you can do it over and over and over again. So, have fun. Consider it an early Christmas present. All right, we are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. Thank you so much for being with us today. And those of you who stay with us for Just Chatting this evening, 8 o'clock New York City time. And I hope to see you next time. Meanwhile, I was going to say have a terrific day, but I'm not going there yet. Drive the credit bureaus crazy. Stand up for your privacy rights. Strike a blow for freedom. And in the meanwhile, have a nice day.